Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and dear colleagues from CRCPD. Let me be there with you virtually to present you IAEA ongoing activities on non-food commodities with a focus on collaboration with CRCPD. The context of IAEA activities in this field is a long history because in IAEA General Conference resolution, there has been several paragraphs over many years. And also a lot of work has been done and materials produced since the early 20s, which have been duly reported in the reports by the Director General. This is just an overview of these paragraphs. And just to mention that the term commodities appear, international trade, also mentioned the difficulties encountered, which continue at much advance, also need for harmonized framework, etc. As regards the latest General Conference, which was in 2023, 3 paragraphs address the terms of commodities or some requirements related to it. These 3 paragraphs are 87, 88, and 89. 87 is related to food, which is not in the scope of this presentation, and the other 2 relate to other commodities, which are not food. Paragraph 88 welcomes the work on consumer goods that the agency is doing, and it requires to develop a guidance document that considers radionuclides present in all consumer goods. And paragraph 89 relates to a safety report which is ongoing on international trade. In fact, even if these requirements on commodities started in early 2000, it was not until 2014 that IAEA introduced a requirement related to commodities in their safety standards. And that was when GSR Part 3, Radiation Protection and Safety of Radiation Sources International Basis Safety Standards, known as GSR Part 3, was issued. The new recommendations from ICRP were introduced, were taken into consideration in these basic safety standards, and in particular, this new type of exposure situations, which included existing exposure situations. And among them was the management of exposures due to the presence of radionuclides in commodities. And more specifically, requirement 51 refers that the regulatory body or other relevant authority shall establish reference levels for exposure due to radionuclides in commodities. And also it establishes the terms in which these reference levels should be established. This is a brief overview of all the work that I have already mentioned that has been developed since the early 2000s. Currently, the latest one was a guidance on the concept of exemption. Also, there has been recently a guidance issued on building materials, and now there are 2 main guidance. One is an overarching guidance on all existing exposure situations, and more specifically, also a safety report on international trade that I will be developing further. So this slide summarizes the main activities that I want to share with you, and I will go very briefly on each of them. The first one is the topical session that took place in RASC 53 related to radiation safety of non-food commodities. And I want to acknowledge my colleague in the panel, Lisa Bridgham, who made a presentation on the US context and experience. And out of the main discussions and conclusions from this topical session, that one of them was that challenges remain. Also, there were issues with terminology. Actually, there is a lack of official definition in the terms of commodities, also consumer goods and trade, and there is no consensus on interpretation and scope. And also, it was a raised concern with online market, which is also a growing issue. But apart from also the need for collaboration among international organizations, Lisa called for an initiative for information and experience sharing, and this triggered other activities that follow on. We had later some regional events on managing radiation exposure due to commodities, one in Slovenia in 2022, in Tajikistan 2023, and I want to acknowledge also CRCPD experts participating in it, David Allard, and similar challenges and need were outcomes of this event. Also, in the framework of this new guidance on existing exposure situations, we have had regional workshops in the 4 regions in Europe, Africa, Latin America, and Asia, overall covering 71 member states. And there was always a session on commodities, and again, similar outcomes came about terminology, need for information sharing, and that the challenges that continue and the ongoing market issue. And again, here we had the pleasure to count with CRCPD expert in some of these events. And now I come to highlight the collaboration with CRCPD. So this is a major advance for us because the practical arrangement that was signed in 2022, that was presented to you recently in the past symposium, it contains as new topic collaborating on non-food commodities and also on food commodities. So, and in particular, we have developed a work plan that includes the development of a database for information sharing and also the development of outreach materials. And on this initiative, the collaboration with CRCPD has been instrumental, and I will be telling you more in the activity number 8 that I want to share. Another recent advance is the initiation, and we continue to enhance this collaboration with international organizations that are relevant and are dealing with trade. Namely, we are collaborating closely very recently with the World Customs Organization that, as you know, have the harmonized system code to classify commodities. And also you have here on the screen the rest of organizations that are relevant and that we are working with. Also relevant to share with you is the safety report that I mentioned in the General Conference resolutions as a requirement. And this comes as a follow-up of a guidance on exemption that was recently updated. So this safety report is currently under development. I present here some preliminary outline. And to inform and to feed this safety report with the experience of member states, we have a technical meeting on radiation safety in international trade on non-food commodities that was held in August last year. In total, we brought together 33 member states and 8 international organizations. And here I want to emphasize the key collaboration of CRCPD and NRC. Kevin Williams in the panel was vice chair, and we counted with presentations from CRCPD by Lisa Brudgan and NRC presentation by Cathy Mote. And also David Allard was present as expert and facilitator during the working group discussion. This technical meeting has been key because of many things. I don't have time to share everything, but I will leave the slides for you to know about the scope, what was out of the scope, and also the way we work, which was very collaboratively in working groups. Namely, what we did was to share experience among member states, identify challenges in the trade of international trade of non-food commodities. And again, here I want to highlight also the key contribution of the WCO, the World Customs Organization, because they brought the real experience in the field, which I think will be key for the usefulness of the future safety report. And again, among the specific conclusions, the need for information sharing was highlighted, and the presentation from Katie Motes from NRC proposed to develop this database that we had already started to collaborate together with NRC CRCPD, and that was very much welcome. So some member states proposed or suggested that they could contribute because they already have some events information that they could feed into the database. And also, among other outcomes which are relevant and useful maybe for you to know, is that in terms of safety assessment, so where is the final impact on health that could have this presence of radionuclides in commodities, there was a call for having simplified safety assessment and also to facilitate at the customs officers the decision making to have also operational levels in terms of quantities and magnitudes that are easily measurable, like those rates or surface activities, and also, of course, to have harmonized measurement procedures. So this, I will not enter into detail because of the time, but I will conclude with a mention to the database because this will be follow-up in the presentation from my colleagues from NRC and CRCPD, but they will focus on our collaboration. What I want to mention from my side is that this project that in principle presented as huge will become maybe more or easier in the sense that IAEA, not nuclear safety, but nuclear security, had already developed a database that contained records of commodities that were found or trigger some alarms at borders. And actually, these portals that were deployed in borders for security purposes, in the end, they contribute to more than 99% of the alarms, I mean, come from norm materials or from natural radionuclides. So most of the information that they have in the end is going to be very useful for us for nuclear safety purposes. So this is how the trace database looks like. We are working to try to accommodate the fields that are in trace with the fields that we have thought will be useful for the purposes of nuclear safety. And we are at this stage. We still need to continue and to agree on the fields and also discuss all this with more member states. So the next steps and perspectives is that we will take into account all this information from the technical meeting into the safety report, and we continue to develop this project of the database. Again, I want to highlight the key and instrumental role of the collaboration with United States and more in particular CRCPD and NRC, and also the need from inputs from member states. And also the continuous collaboration that we need to have in-house at IAEA with the security department. So this concludes my presentation, and I look forward to continuing collaboration with CRCPD, and I hope to join via WebEx for any questions you may have. Thank you.